and welcome back to Algebra. We are still in Unit 4. We are moving on to Lesson 3. I know, that's kind of sketchy, isn't it? Like, look at that. It didn't print very well. So sorry. Graphing linear equations today. Super awesome. And writing linear equations today from a graph. So this is a two-part lesson, but we're going to get it all done today. We're going to graph and write linear equations. This is not as bad as it sounds. Trust me, I'm going to go as fast as I can. I always feel, I hate to make long videos. I hate it, hate it, hate it. Okay. If they give you a linear equation and they want you to graph it, I'm telling you a million times, it needs to be in slope-intercept form. If possible. Sometimes not possible, but trust me when I say, if you can work a linear equation into slope-intercept form, you'll be thankful. It says, put the equation in y equals mx plus or minus b form. This is your favorite form. Trust me, if it's not, it will be. Once you get an equation in slope-intercept form, you have everything you need to know to graph the line pretty quickly. You know the slope of the line. Those are going to become like your driving directions. You'll see what I mean in a minute. And you have your y-intercept. This tells you where your line crosses through the y-axis, and this is actually your starting point. So, step 2 says, plot the y-intercept. Yes. This number that's sitting out here is actually your starting point. From there, you use the slope to create more points. Then that means you go here and you look at the number that's stuck onto the x, and that becomes what I call your driving directions. It tells you how to get to your next point, up, down, right, left, from your starting point, which is your intercept. So then once you have like 3 or 4 points plotted, then you can connect the line. Let's just hop to it. First one. I don't think I can. Okay, that's as zoomed in as I can get, you guys. It says y equals negative x plus 3. I'm going to fill this in with the number that's missing. Y equals negative 1 x plus 3. Now, what did I tell you about slope? I've said this repeatedly. The slope is the number that's stuck onto the x, and it needs to be in fraction form. And I mean it. Starting today, if this is a whole number, you need to put a 1 in the denominator. You're gonna wanna see it as a fraction. Now, let's break apart the information we need from this equation. We need the slope. We need the y-intercept. So the slope is the number that's stuck to the x, negative 1 over 1, as a fraction. The y-intercept is the number that's sitting out here, which in this case is a positive 3. Step 1, plot the y-intercept. So you find the y-axis. That's that guy. Remember, y to the sky. Find positive 3, which is up 3 from the origin, and you put a big dot right there. That's what a y-intercept is. It tells you the point at which your line is going to cross through the y-axis. Now, the next step said, use your slope to create more points. I call it your driving directions. Remember that slope is rise over run, up and down, right or left. And if it's negative, I give it to the top number. So I'm going to rewrite my slope as a negative 1 over 1. Now, how would I drive that? Well, the top number is negative 1, and the top number is your movement or your change in your y position. That's your up or down. So because it's a negative 1, that's your down movement. And then the bottom number, that's your side-to-side movement, your change in your x values. And since it's positive, a positive number is a right movement. So if this bottom number were negative, it would be a left movement. So again, up or down, right or left. So we've got our driving directions. It's down 1, right 1. From where? From your intercept. So let's drive our slope. From this point, we're going to go down 1, right 1, and put a point. And do it again. Down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. How many points do you really need to make? More than 2. I don't drive a hard bargain on this, but two is not enough. 3, 4, 5 is fine. Now, what should happen if you've done this right is a straight line. When you connect your points, it should make a relatively straight line. Now, granted, I'm not using a straight edge, so bear with me as I freehand a straight line. Do you notice that that is a negative sloping line? I hope you notice that that's a negative sloping line, and it should be, because if you look back at our equation, we had a negative slope. We had a slope of -1. That line should be going down to the right. Okay, let's do the next one. Y equals 3x minus 4. So our slope is 3, which is 3 over 1. Our B, which is our y-intercept, is a -4. This is your starting point. Plot the -4 on the y-axis. So from the origin, 1, 2, you go down 4 and you put a dot. That's your starting point. Now let's talk about driving our slope. Our top number is our up or down, and because it's a positive, you get to go up that many squares. Your bottom number is right or left, and it's a positive, which means you're going to move right. So from here, we're going to drive up 3, right 1, and keep going. Up 3, right 1, up 3, right 1. And again, if you've done it correctly, you connect your dots, it should make a perfectly straight line. Okay? All right, good. Let's do the next one. Y equals 2/5 x plus 2. Hey, the slope is already in fraction form here. That's nice. And our B is a +2. Remember, this is your starting point on the y-axis. +2 is up 2 from the origin. And now we have to talk about driving our slope. Up or down, you'd go up. Right or left, you'd go right. From here, up 2, right 5. And I seem to be out of room. That's okay. You need to drive in reverse. So we did go up and right, but we ran out of room. So let's throw our car in reverse. And when you go in reverse, everything goes the opposite. We're going to go down and left from the original point. Down to left 5. See, we just drove in reverse. And now we're going to go ahead and connect our dots. I think my marker's dying. And it makes a nice straight line. Okay? Let's see. Let's do number 9. That's a good one. Let's do this one. It says y equals 4x. Okay, so the slope, which is m, is 4, which is 4 over 1. And the y-intercept, which is b, appears to be not there. We've talked about this. That means it's a 0. So in this one, the intercept is 0. So where is 0 on the y-axis? Well, it's right here at the origin. Yeah, so our y-intercept is invisible, which means it's 0, which means it's the origin. Cool. Now, let's drive our slope. Up or down? Well, it's positive, you go up. Right or left? It's positive, which means right. So, from our starting point, up 4, right 1. Uh-oh, I ran out of room again and I need more points. That means we back everything up. Instead of going up, we're going to go down. Instead of going right, we're going to go left. Back to the origin or the original point, go down 4, left 1. And sure enough, those line up to make a nice straight line and we connect them as best as I can without a straight edge. So this is all well and good and not too difficult when it's already written in slope-intercept form. Oh, but guess what? Guess what they do? They give you all kinds of equations that aren't written in slope-intercept form. You have to rewrite them. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Let's look at 14. This is a good one to start with. This is standard form, friends. And remember, we learned how to rearrange standard form into slope-intercept form. Now's your time to shine. We are going to solve for y. Because remember, this is what we're after. We have to rearrange for y. So we need to subtract 4x. Right? So I subtract 4x and I put it here, right to the right of the equal sign. And now everything gets divided by 3. Divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. So everything got divided by 3. Now I need my slope and I need my intercept. Y equals mx plus b. So my slope is negative 4/3 and my intercept is positive 4. This is my starting point. On the y-axis, I find where positive 4 is. There it is. Now I get to drive my slope. Negative 4 means down. Positive 3 means right. So from my starting point, which is my intercept, I go down 4 and right 3. And down 4 and right 3, which I kind of run off my graph, but we can sort of see where it would be. And I draw my line. Oops, well, I did the best I could. Close enough, you get the idea. Notice it is a negative sloping line, and it should be because we had a negative slope. Okay? So if they give you an equation and it's not in slope-intercept form, you have to rearrange it. I'm on the fence about whether or not we should do another one. I suppose we should. Let's do another one. We'll do 15. The one right next to it here. Here we go. Remember, we need y to be alone. So minus 2x from both sides. There it is. There's that minus 2x and my plus 8. Now, can't have y being multiplied by negative 4. So every piece gets divided by negative 4. Eight divided by negative 4 is negative 2. Now, I kind of left this a hot mess. Let's fix it up. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. And 2 over 4, you could leave it 2 over 4, but it's really 1/2. So my slope here is actually positive half. Again, a negative divided by a negative makes it a positive, and 2 over 4 can simplify to 1 over 2. Now, my intercept, what's my intercept? Negative 2. So let's plot our y-intercept of negative 2. There it is. And our slope, let's drive it. Positive 1 in the numerator means up. Positive 2 in the denominator means right. We're going to go up 1, right 2. Up 1, right 2. up 1, right 2. If I want to drive in reverse, I would go down and left. Down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2. As predicted, those dots make a nice straight line. Okay? So this is like that snowball that builds, right? Concepts in math class tend to build upon one another. We already learned how to take standard form and turn it into slope-intercept form. And then from here now, we're actually graphing these lines. Okay, the good news is there's still more to this lesson, but it's the easiest part, I promise. Can you write the linear equation if you see the graph? Can you go the other way? The answer is, of course you can. You can do this. Step 1 is when you look at the line, you need to identify the slope, rise over run, and you also need the Y-intercept. Y-intercept is where your line crosses the y-axis. That's not hard. Then write it in slope-intercept form. Let's go back to slope up here though. Let's not forget it's rise over run. X goes on bottom and the Y's go on top. Okay, so every time I look at a line, I need the M and the B. I know these graphs are not perfect. This would be better if we were actually physically in a school, but you're going to have to take my word for some of this. There is a point right here, and there is a point right here. So you have to be able to visualize 2 points on these lines. You need the point at which the line crosses the y-axis and another point at which it crosses through the perfect corners of the graph. You need 2 points. So the easiest one to start with is the y-intercept, B. What is the value of the y on the y-axis here where my line crosses? I know you probably can't see, but that's down 3. That's a -3. My b is -3. Because that's where it crosses, at -3. Now we need the slope. Rise over run. I'm going to tell you right now, that is a positive sloping line. My slope is going to be a positive. Now you just do it. Rise, 1, 2, 3. So that means up 3. And the run is right 1. So that's a positive 1. Your slope is 3 over 1. That's it. We figured out our intercept. We figured out our slope by rise and run. So now we write y equals mx plus or minus b. In this case, it's a -3. Could you write that as just a 3? Yes, you could. I do prefer the fraction. Okay, let's do a couple more. Let's do number 5. Let me darken up some of those dots. This is the y-intercept. This is another point. So the y-intercept, I always start with the y-intercept because I think it's just the easiest. The y-intercept is +3. And my slope, well, it's going to be positive. Rise is 1, 2, 3, top number 3 again. And the run is right 2, so +2. So my slope is 3 over 2, and my intercept is +3. Y equals 3 over 2x plus 3. Y equals mx plus b. Okay, let's do number 6, this one. You guys, I try so hard not to make these videos long, but you know, it's algebra. We just have a lot to get through. Here we go. I need the slope and I need the intercept. Let's do the intercept first. It is down here. I know it's a little difficult for you to see, but that's a -2. What is my slope? I'll tell you, it's going to be a negative fraction because that is a negative sloping line. Rise means up or down, and it's down 2. So that's a -2 for my top number. I go down 2, and the run is right 3, so positive 3. And as predicted, it's a negative fraction. And it should be a negative fraction because that is a negative sloping line. Y equals negative 2/3 x minus 2. Okay? So if they give you a graph, you need the y-intercept, you need another point so that you can get your b, and you can figure out your slope, which is rise and run. You want to do one more? I'm sure not. Let's do one more. Let's do number 11. This guy. Okay, last one. This is my intercept, and this is my other point. Here I go. Intercept is always the easiest. Here's my y-axis. It happens to be at 0. Okay, slope, rise and run. Well, it's a downward sloping line. There's going to be a negative. And sure enough, it's down 1, 2, 3. Down, we've had a lot of down 3s. So negative 3. And then right 1, 2, 3. And 3 over 3, you guys, is 1. So you really could call that negative 1 over 1. I mean, I don't really care if you simplify it like that, but you can. Technically, it's the same as that, isn't it? It's all the same thing. I don't mind if you leave it 3 over 3 or 1 over 1. I don't care. Here we go. Y equals, I'm going to go with the simplified version. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show the 0 for the intercept, but you really don't have to. So when you write that equation, you really could leave that 0 off and it would still be correct. Y equals mx plus b. All right? I think it's good to go. We actually did this video in under 25 minutes. That's an accomplishment. This was a lot of information, right? It's hard to teach it any faster than this and give you enough examples to cover everything. My goodness, we had like 5 pages of notes here. I probably had the better part of 40 questions I could have done. All right, so we'll go over this in class a little bit more, and by that I really mean in our Google Meet. So I hope things are going well. Be in touch as needed and take care. Okay, bye-bye.